At 3:14 a.m., Noah Carter made a choice that would cost him everything, or save him from losing it all. A knock at the door, a stranger collapsing in expensive clothes. One decision, help her or protect himself. What he didn't know? The woman stumbling on his doorstep wasn't just anyone. She was Aurora Vale, billionaire, CEO, someone from a world he'd never touch. And that single moment of kindness would pull him into a life he never imagined possible. But before we get there, hit that like button and drop a comment with your city. I want to see how far this story travels. Now, let's begin. The apartment smelled like burnt coffee and yesterday's regrets. Noah Carter sat at his kitchen table, staring at the pile of bills spread out like accusations. Rent, overdue, electric, final notice. The letters blurred together under the weak light of the single bulb overhead. He rubbed his eyes with the heels of his hands, pressing hard enough that stars danced behind his eyelids. 32 years old, single father, barely keeping the lights on. The irony wasn't lost on him. 5 years ago, he'd been different, confident, ambitious, working a decent job with benefits and a future. Then his wife left. Not for another man. Not because of a fight. She just left. Walked out on him and their 1-year-old daughter like they were a coat she'd grown tired of wearing. No note. No explanation that made sense, just gone. The custody battle that followed ate through his savings like acid. His job couldn't accommodate the sudden single-parent juggling act. He'd been let go, politely, professionally, with 2 weeks severance and a handshake that felt like a slap. Now here he was, working overnight security shifts at a warehouse, scraping together barely enough to cover rent on this shoebox apartment in a neighborhood where sirens were the soundtrack to sleep. His daughter Emma was 6 now, smart as hell. Funny, the only good thing he'd ever done right. She was asleep in the bedroom, the only bedroom. Noah slept on the couch. Had for 2 years. He glanced at the clock. 3:14 a.m. His shift had ended at midnight. He should be sleeping. Instead, he was doing math that didn't add up, trying to figure out how to stretch $847 across 4 weeks when rent alone was $1,200. The knock came sharp and sudden. Noah's head jerked up. Who the hell knocks at 3:14 in the morning? He stood slowly, every instinct screaming that nothing good came from a door knock at this hour. Could be a drunk neighbor. Could be someone looking for trouble. Could be the landlord, though that made no sense. The knock came again, harder, more insistent. Noah moved to the door, careful to stay quiet. Emma was a light sleeper. He glanced through the peephole. A woman stood in the hallway, swaying slightly. Dark hair, expensive-looking coat. Her hand was raised to knock again, but she missed the door entirely and nearly fell forward. Drunk. Definitely drunk. Noah's first instinct was to ignore it. This wasn't his problem. He had enough problems. He started to step back. Then she knocked again, weaker this time. And he heard it. A small, confused sound. Almost like a question. "Damn it!" Noah muttered. He opened the door. The woman nearly fell into him. He caught her by the shoulders, steadying her. Up close, she looked even more out of place. Her coat probably cost more than his car. Underneath, a black dress that screamed money. Heels that had no business in this building. "Whoa, hey, you okay?" Noah asked. She blinked at him, struggling to focus. Her eyes were striking even through the haze of alcohol, sharp and green like sea glass. But right now they were clouded with confusion. "This is the car, right?" she mumbled. I called for a car." "This is an apartment," Noah said gently. "You've got the wrong place." She frowned, looking around like she was seeing the hallway for the first time. No, this is..." He said Unit 12. "This is Unit 12, but it's not a car." She tried to process this, swaying slightly in his grip. Then her knees buckled. Noah caught her before she hit the ground. Okay, I got you." He should call someone. The police, a cab, anyone. But as he held her upright, he could see how disoriented she was, how vulnerable. Sending her back out into the night alone felt wrong, felt dangerous, also felt like none of his business. But when had that ever stopped him from making a bad decision? "All right," Noah said quietly. "Let's get you inside before you wake up the whole building." He guided her into the apartment, kicking the door shut behind them. She stumbled against him and he steered her toward the couch, his bed, currently unmade and covered with a thin blanket and flat pillow. "Sit," he said. She sat, or rather, she collapsed onto the couch like her bones had given up. Noah stood there for a moment, hands on his hips, trying to figure out what the hell he'd just done. This woman was clearly wealthy, clearly from a different world, and clearly in no state to make decisions. This could go wrong in about 100 different ways. A man alone with a drunk woman he didn't know, in the middle of the night? This was the kind of situation that ruined lives. But leaving her outside wasn't an option either. "Water," he said, more to himself than to her. "You need water." He went to the kitchen, filled a glass from the tap, and brought it back. She was leaning against the armrest, eyes half closed. "Hey," Noah said, "drink this." She took the glass with both hands like it weighed 10 pounds, drank a little, spilled a little more on her dress. "What's your name?" Noah asked. She looked at him, squinting slightly. "Aurora." "Aurora. Okay. I'm Noah. Do you have someone I can call? Someone who can come get you?" She shook her head slowly. I don't know." "You don't know if you have someone, or you don't know their number?" "Both." Her voice was thick, slurring at the edges. I shouldn't have." She trailed off, staring at the water in her hands. Noah sighed. He pulled over the kitchen chair and sat down across from her, elbows on his knees. "Look, you can't stay here. I've got a daughter asleep in the next room, and this whole situation is—" "I'm sorry," Aurora said suddenly. Noah stopped. "I'm sorry," she repeated, looking up at him. Her eyes were clear now, just for a moment. "I didn't mean to. I don't usually—" "It's fine," Noah said, though it wasn't. "Everyone has bad nights." She laughed, a short, bitter sound. "Bad nights, yeah." She set the glass down on the floor, unsteady, and Noah reached out to stabilize it before it tipped. When he looked back up, she was crying, not sobbing, just silent tears running down her face, smudging whatever makeup she'd been wearing. "Hey," Noah said softly. "Hey, it's all right." "It's not," she whispered. "Nothing's all right." Noah didn't know what to say to that. He didn't know this woman, didn't know her life, but he recognized the look on her face. He'd worn it himself plenty of times. "You want to talk about it?" he asked. She shook her head. "Okay, that's okay." They sat in silence for a while. Noah glanced toward Emma's door, listening for any sound. Nothing. She was still asleep. Aurora wiped at her face with the back of her hand, smearing mascara. "I should go." "Where?" "I don't know. Anywhere. I shouldn't be here." "You're in no condition to go anywhere," Noah said. "You can barely stand." "I can't stay here." "I'm not suggesting you stay. I'm suggesting you sit here until you're sober enough to walk, and then I'll call you a cab." She looked at him, really looked at him. "Why are you helping me?" Noah shrugged. "Because someone should." "You don't know me." "Doesn't matter." "It should. I could be anyone. I could be dangerous." Noah almost laughed. "Lady, you can't even hold a glass of water without spilling it. I think I'm safe." She smiled, just a little, a crack in the armor. "What's your last name, Aurora?" Noah asked. She hesitated. "Vale. Aurora Vale. Got a nice ring to it." "You don't recognize it?" "Should I?" She studied his face, searching for something. "No, I guess not." Noah stood up. "I'm going to make some coffee. Real stuff. Not the burnt crap I was drinking earlier. You're going to drink it, sober up a little, and then I'm getting you a ride home. Sound good?" Aurora nodded slowly. He went back to the kitchen, dumped out the old coffee, and started a fresh pot. As he worked, he kept glancing over at her. She sat perfectly still on the couch, staring at nothing. Whatever had brought her to his door tonight, it wasn't just alcohol. There was something deeper, something broken. He recognized it because he lived with it every day. The coffee finished brewing. Noah poured 2 cups, one for her, one for him, and brought them back to the living room. "Black okay?" he asked. "Perfect." They drank in silence. Outside, the city hummed its constant noise. Somewhere down the street, a car alarm went off and then stopped. Can I ask you something? Aurora said. Sure. Why do you live here? Noah raised an eyebrow. Because it's what I can afford. But you seem, I don't know, different. Different how? Like you don't belong here. Noah laughed, sharp and humorless. Yeah, well, life doesn't always go the way you plan. What happened? You want the short version or the long version? Whichever you want to tell. Noah leaned back in the chair, cradling his coffee cup. Short version, I had a decent job, had a wife, had a future. Then my wife left, I got let go, and now I'm working overnight security to keep the lights on for my kid. The end. That's the short version? The long version's more depressing. Aurora was quiet for a moment, then, I'm sorry. Don't be. It is what it is. Still, that's not fair. Life's not fair. You look old enough to know that. She smiled again, sad, knowing. Yeah, I do. They sat there, two strangers from completely different worlds, connected by nothing except this strange, fragile moment. I have a company, Aurora said suddenly. Noah glanced at her. Yeah? A big one. We do a lot of things. Tech, mostly. Investments. That why your coat costs more than my rent? She looked down at herself as if just noticing what she was wearing. Probably. Must be nice. You'd think? There was something in her voice, something hollow. Noah set his coffee down. Let me guess, he said. Money doesn't buy happiness. It doesn't, but it buys everything else. Like expensive mistakes? Aurora laughed, a real one this time. Exactly. The sky outside was starting to shift. Not quite dawn, but the darkness was thinning at the edges. I should really go, Aurora said. She sounded steadier now, more present. You feel okay to walk? I think so. Noah pulled out his phone. I'll call you a cab. I can call my driver. Your driver didn't pick you up the first time. She flinched slightly. Fair point. Noah called a local cab company, gave them the address. They said 10 minutes. Thank you, Aurora said quietly, for not taking advantage, for just being decent. You don't have to thank me for that. I do. You'd be surprised how rare decent is. Noah shrugged. Maybe in your world. In mine, it's just survival. We look out for each other because no one else will. Aurora stood, testing her balance. She was steadier now, though still moving carefully. She walked to the door, then stopped. Noah? Yeah? If I wanted to thank you properly, would you let me? You don't owe me anything. I know, but if I wanted to anyway? Noah shook his head. I didn't do this for a reward. I did it because it was the right thing to do. She looked at him for a long moment, something unreadable crossing her face. Then she nodded. You're a good man, Noah Carter. I'm just a tired man trying to make it to tomorrow. The cab honked outside. Aurora glanced back once more, then opened the door and stepped into the hallway. Take care of yourself, Noah said. You too. And then she was gone. Noah closed the door and locked it. Stood there in the sudden silence of his apartment, wondering what the hell had just happened. He cleaned up the coffee cups, put the bills back in their pile, checked on Emma, still asleep, curled up with her stuffed rabbit. By the time he finally collapsed on the couch, the sky outside was turning gray with dawn. He didn't expect to ever see Aurora Vale again. He was wrong. Tets. 3 weeks later, Noah stood in the lobby of the Vanguard Corporation building, feeling like he'd walked onto the wrong planet. The place was all glass and steel and impossible angles. People in suits moved through the space like they owned the air they breathed. The security desk alone probably cost more than everything Noah owned combined. He was here for a job interview. Operations manager. He'd applied online weeks ago, barely remembering he'd done it. Most of his applications disappeared into the void, but this one had called back. The woman at the desk gave him a visitor badge and directed him to the 32nd floor. Noah took the elevator up, watching the city shrink below him through the glass walls. His hands were sweating. He wiped them on his pants, his only good pants, which weren't that good. He dropped Emma at school this morning, promising her he'd pick her up himself today. No aftercare. She'd been so excited. He needed this job. Needed it desperately. The elevator opened onto a reception area that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Minimalist furniture, abstract art, a receptionist who looked like she'd walked off a runway. "Noah Carter," he said. "I have an interview at 9. She smiled, professional, perfect. "Of course. Please have a seat. Ms. Vale will be with you shortly." Noah nodded and sat down on a chair that probably cost a month's rent. Ms. Vale. The name tickled something in the back of his mind, but he couldn't place it. Probably just nerves. He waited, checked his phone, waited more. Finally, a door opened and a woman stepped out. Noah looked up. Time stopped. It was her. Aurora. But not the disoriented, drunk woman from his apartment. This was someone else entirely, poised, powerful, dressed in a sharp gray suit that commanded attention. Her hair was pulled back. Her eyes were clear and focused. She was terrifying. She stopped when she saw him. Just for a second. Something flickered across her face, surprise, recognition, something else he couldn't name. Then it was gone, replaced by perfect professional composure. "Mr. Carter," she said, her voice smooth and controlled. "Thank you for coming. Please, follow me." Noah stood up, his mind racing. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. She led him into a conference room, gestured to a chair, sat down across from him. "I'm Aurora Vale," she said, as if they'd never met. "CEO of Vanguard Corporation." Noah tried to speak. Failed. Tried again. Yeah. Hi." Her expression didn't change. "I've reviewed your application. Your experience is limited, but there's something in your background that caught my attention." "What's that?" Noah managed. "You have a 6-year-old daughter." Noah blinked. "I do." "Emma. That's not usually something people mention in job interviews." "I'm not usual people." He couldn't argue with that. Aurora leaned back in her chair, studying him. "Tell me, Mr. Carter, why do you want this job?" "Because I need it." "Everyone needs a job. Why this one?" Noah took a breath, steadied himself. "Because I'm good at what I do. Because I know how to work hard. Because I've managed teams before, and I know how to solve problems. And because—" He paused. "Because I need to provide for my daughter. She deserves better than what I can give her right now. So I'll do whatever it takes to make that happen." Aurora's expression softened, just slightly. "That's honest." "I don't see the point in lying. Most people do." "I'm not most people." She smiled. "No, you're not." Silence stretched between them. Noah couldn't read her, couldn't tell if she was going to acknowledge that night or pretend it never happened. "Mr. Carter," Aurora said finally, "I'm going to be direct with you. This job is demanding. The hours are long. The expectations are high. You'd be managing a team of 15 people, coordinating with multiple departments, and solving problems that most people can't handle. It's not easy. I'm not afraid of hard work." "I can see that." She stood up. Noah stood too. "I'll be honest with you," Aurora said. "When I saw your name on the interview list, I almost canceled it." Noah's heart sank. "But then I thought about who you are, what you've been through, and more importantly," she paused, "what you did when no one was watching." There it was. Acknowledgement. "That night," Noah said quietly, "I didn't do anything special. You did something decent, something kind. You helped someone who needed it without asking for anything in return. Do you know how rare that is? It shouldn't be rare, but it is, especially in this world." Aurora walked to the window, looking out over the city. "I've built this company from nothing. I've made a lot of money. I've made a lot of enemies. And I've learned that most people only do things when there's something in it for them." She turned back to him. "You're not like that, are you, Mr. Carter?" "I can't afford to be." "That's not what I asked." Noah met her eyes. "No, I'm not like that." Aurora nodded slowly. "The job is yours if you want it." Noah stared at her. "What?" "You're hired, pending background checks and references, of course. But assuming those check out, and I'm confident they will, the position is yours." Are you serious?" "I don't joke about employment, Mr. Carter." Noah's mind was spinning. "Why?" "Because you're qualified. Because you need it. and because I believe you'll do the job well. That's it? Aurora smiled, small, knowing. That's it. Noah didn't know what to say. This felt surreal, impossible. The salary is competitive, Aurora continued. Benefits include health insurance, retirement matching, and childcare assistance. You'll start Monday. Childcare assistance? We have a program for employees with children. Subsidized daycare, flexible hours when needed. I believe people work better when they're not worried about their families. Noah felt something crack inside his chest. Relief. Hope. Emotions he'd kept buried for months. Thank you, he said, his voice rough. Don't thank me yet. You haven't started working here. Still, thank you. Aurora extended her hand. Noah shook it. Her grip was firm, confident. Welcome to Vanguard Corporation, Mr. Carter. Noah, please. Noah. She released his hand but didn't step back. That night, she said quietly, you could have turned me away. You could have ignored me. You could have done a lot of things. But you chose to help. That tells me everything I need to know about who you are. I just did what anyone should do. But most people wouldn't. That's the difference. Noah didn't know how to respond to that. I'll have HR send you the paperwork, Aurora said, shifting back to business mode. Any questions? Just one. Yes? Are you okay? After that night, Aurora's expression softened again. I am, thanks to you. She walked him to the elevator. They stood there in the hallway, the moment stretching between them. See you Monday, Noah. See you Monday. The elevator doors closed, and Noah rode down 32 floors in a daze. When he stepped out onto the street, the city looked different, felt different. For the first time in years, the weight on his shoulders felt lighter. He pulled out his phone and called Emma's school. Hi, this is Noah Carter, Emma's dad. I know she's in aftercare usually, but I'm picking her up today. Regular time. Yes. Thank you. He hung up and started walking, a smile spreading across his face despite himself. At 3:14 a.m., 3 weeks ago, he'd opened his door to a stranger. Now everything was different. He didn't know what came next, didn't know if this was charity or opportunity or something else entirely. But for the first time in a long time, Noah Carter had hope. And that was enough. Noah's first day at Vanguard Corporation started with him throwing up in the bathroom at 5:47 a.m. Not from illness, from pure, undiluted panic. He stared at himself in the mirror, gripping the edge of the sink, watching water drip from his face. His reflection looked pale, hollowed out. The same face he'd seen for 32 years, but somehow different now, older, more uncertain. You can do this, he whispered to himself. His reflection didn't look convinced. Emma knocked on the bathroom door. Daddy, you okay? Noah quickly dried his face, forced his breathing to steady. Yeah, baby, I'm fine, just getting ready. He opened the door. Emma stood there in her pajamas, clutching her rabbit, hair sticking up in every direction. You look nervous, she said. Kids, they saw everything. Maybe a little, Noah admitted. Is it the new job? Yeah. Emma hugged his leg. You're gonna do great, Daddy. Noah's throat tightened. He crouched down, pulled her into a proper hug. Thanks, kiddo. Can we have pancakes? We don't have time for pancakes. Cereal? Cereal I can do. They ate breakfast together at the small kitchen table, Emma chattering about something that happened at school last week, Noah only half listening. His mind was already at Vanguard, running through everything that could go wrong. He didn't belong in that building, didn't belong in that world, and everyone there would know it the moment he opened his mouth. But the paycheck, the benefits, the childcare assistance that meant Emma could go to a real program instead of the neighbor's apartment where she watched TV for 4 hours. He had to make this work. Noah dropped Emma at school, watched her run toward her friends, backpack bouncing. She turned once to wave. He waved back, his chest aching with something he couldn't name. Then he drove to Vanguard. The parking garage made him feel like an imposter immediately. Rows of expensive cars, BMWs, Mercedes, Teslas. Noah's 12-year-old Honda Civic looked like it had wandered in by mistake. He parked in the furthest corner, grabbed his bag, and headed to the elevator. The lobby was already busy. People in suits moved with purpose, carrying coffee cups and laptops, talking on phones. Noah stood in the elevator, surrounded by strangers who belonged here, and tried to remember how to breathe. 32nd floor, HR department. A woman named Patricia greeted him, 50s, efficient smile, glasses on a chain. She handed him a stack of paperwork, walked him through benefits and policies, gave him an employee badge with his photo looking scared and underprepared. "You'll be working directly under Ms. Vale," Patricia said. She doesn't usually take such a hands-on approach with new hires, but she specifically requested to oversee your onboarding. She did? She did. Consider yourself lucky. Ms. Vale doesn't give her attention lightly. Noah wasn't sure if that made him feel better or worse. Patricia walked him to his new office. Not a cubicle, an actual office with a door and a window. Small, but his. Noah stood in the doorway staring. "Something wrong?" Patricia asked. "No, I haven't had an office in a long time." "Well, you have one now. Ms. Vale will meet with you at 10 to go over your responsibilities. Until then, familiarize yourself with the system." She handed him a laptop. Passwords on the sticky note. "Welcome to Vanguard, Mr. Carter." She left. Noah stood alone in his office, holding a laptop worth more than 3 months of his old rent. He sat down. The chair was comfortable, the desk was clean. Through the window, he could see part of the city stretching out below. For a moment, he let himself feel it. Relief, gratitude, the faint, fragile hope that maybe things were finally turning around. Then he opened the laptop and got to work. The system was complex, layers of databases, communication platforms, project management tools. Noah had used similar systems before, but this was more sophisticated. He spent 2 hours just figuring out how everything connected. At exactly 10 o'clock, someone knocked on his door. "Come in," Noah said. Aurora stepped inside. She looked different than she had during the interview. Less formal, still professional, but softer somehow. She wore dark pants and a white blouse, her hair down instead of pulled back. "Good morning," she said. "Morning." She closed the door behind her, and suddenly the office felt smaller. "How are you settling in?" Aurora asked. "Still figuring out where the bathroom is." She smiled. "Third door on the left." "Good to know." Aurora sat down in the chair across from his desk. Noah noticed she didn't ask permission, didn't hesitate. She moved through the world like she owned it, which, in this building, she literally did. "I wanted to talk to you before you dive in too deep," she said. "Okay." "This job isn't going to be easy. I want to be clear about that up front. The operations department has been struggling. The previous manager left abruptly, and things have been chaotic. You're walking into a mess." Noah nodded. "I can handle mess." "I believe you can, but I need you to understand what you're handling." Aurora pulled out a tablet, swiped through something, then turned it toward him. "These are the current issues: inventory discrepancies, communication breakdowns between departments, missed deadlines, budget overruns. It's a lot." Noah scanned the list. It was, indeed, a lot. "Why me?" he asked. "You could have hired someone with more corporate experience." Aurora met his eyes. "Because corporate experience doesn't always translate to results. I've hired plenty of people with impressive resumes who couldn't actually solve problems. You, on the other hand," she paused. "You know how to function under pressure. You know how to make things work with limited resources. And you don't quit when things get hard. You don't know that about me." "Don't I?" Noah looked away first. "I'm giving you authority to make changes," Aurora continued. "Real authority. If something isn't working, fix it. If someone on your team isn't pulling their weight, deal with it. I'm not interested in maintaining broken systems just because that's how we've always done things. That's a lot of trust to put in someone you barely know." "I know enough." There it was again. That reference to the night they met, hanging between them, unspoken but present. "I won't let you down," Noah said. "I know you won't." Aurora stood. "Your team meeting is at 11, conference room B. I'll be there to introduce you, but after that, they're yours." She walked to the door, then stopped. "Noah?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for taking this seriously." "It's my job to take it seriously." Still. She left, and Noah sat alone in his office, staring at the tablet full of problems he was now responsible for solving. He'd wanted this. needed it. But now that he had it, the weight of it settled on him like concrete. At 11, Noah walked into conference room B. 15 faces looked up at him, some curious, some skeptical, some openly hostile. Aurora stood at the head of the table. Everyone, this is Noah Carter, your new operations manager. Noah, this is your team. She went around the table, introducing each person. Noah tried to memorize names, faces, roles. It was overwhelming. Noah comes to us with extensive experience in operations and team management, Aurora said. He's here to help streamline our processes and improve efficiency. I expect everyone to give him your full cooperation. A man near the end of the table, tall, mid-40s, expensive suit, leaned back in his chair. No offense, Ms. Vale, but we've heard this before. New manager comes in, promises changes, things stay the same. Your name was Derek, right? Noah said. The man looked surprised. Yeah. You handle vendor relations? I do. Then you're probably tired of inventory delays and miscommunication. I get it. I'd be skeptical too. Noah looked around the table. Look, I'm not going to stand here and promise everything's going to be perfect. It's not. We've got problems, big ones. But I didn't take this job to maintain the status quo. I took it to fix things. And how do you plan to do that? A woman asked. Sarah, Noah remembered, project coordinator. By listening to you, you're the ones in the trenches. You know what's broken better than I do. So over the next week, I'm meeting with each of you individually. I want to hear what's not working, what you need, and what's getting in your way. Then we're going to prioritize and start fixing things, one problem at a time. The room was quiet. Noah couldn't tell if he'd won them over or just confused them. Aurora stepped forward. I'll leave you all to it. Noah, my door is open if you need anything. She left. Suddenly, Noah was alone with 15 strangers who were now his responsibility. All right, he said. Who wants to tell me what the biggest problem is right now? Everyone started talking at once. The next 3 weeks were brutal. Noah arrived at the office by 7 and left after 6. He met with every team member individually, filled notebooks with problems and solutions, mapped out processes that made no sense, identified bottlenecks and inefficiencies. The problems were worse than he'd thought. Systems that should have been automated were still manual. Communication happened through email chains that went nowhere. Budget approval required 5 signatures for purchases over $50. It was insane, but it was fixable. Noah started small. He created a shared database for inventory tracking, set up a messaging system for urgent issues, streamlined the approval process by consolidating unnecessary steps. Some people embraced the changes, others fought him every step. Derek was the worst. He'd been with the company for 8 years and seemed personally offended by every suggestion Noah made. This is how we've always done it, Derek said during their 3rd meeting. And how's that working out? Noah asked. It worked fine before. Did it? Because the data shows vendor delays increased by 40% over the last 2 years. Derek's jaw tightened. Those delays aren't my fault. I didn't say they were. But the system isn't working, so we need to change it. Or maybe you don't understand how things work here. Noah leaned forward. You're right. I don't understand how things work here. I don't understand why we're using 3 different systems for the same task. I don't understand why approvals take 2 weeks when they should take 2 days. I don't understand why we're accepting failure as normal. So help me understand, Derek. Explain to me why any of this makes sense. Derek stared at him. You think you're better than us. I think I'm trying to do my job, and I think you're making it harder. Maybe you should find another job then. Noah stood up. This meeting's over, but let me be clear. I'm not going anywhere, and neither are these changes. You can get on board or you can keep fighting me, but one of those options is a lot easier than the other. He walked out, his hands shaking with adrenaline. That night, Emma asked him why he looked so tired. Just a long day, baby. Do you like your new job? Noah thought about it. I like what it could be. Right now, it's just hard. Daddy? Yeah? You always tell me not to give up when things are hard. Noah smiled despite himself. Yeah, I do. So don't give up. I won't. But some nights, alone on the couch after Emma was asleep, Noah wondered if he was in over his head, if Aurora had made a mistake, if he was fooling himself thinking he could actually pull this off. Then morning would come and he'd get up and try again. 4 weeks in, things started to shift. The new inventory system caught a discrepancy that would have cost the company $15,000. Sarah sent Noah a message saying the streamlined approvals saved her team 3 days on a project deadline. Even Derek stopped arguing, mostly. Noah was leaving late one evening when he ran into Aurora in the hallway. She was still in the office at 7:30, jacket off, looking tired. "Working late?" she asked. "Could say the same about you. CEO privilege. I'm always working late." They walked to the elevator together. The building was quiet now, most people gone. "How's it going?" Aurora asked. "Really? Honestly, it's kicking my ass," she laughed, a real one. "That's what I like to hear." "You like hearing that I'm struggling?" "I like hearing that you're honest about it. Most people in your position would tell me everything's great even if it was falling apart." Everything's not great, but it's getting better. "I've noticed. The inventory catch last week was impressive." "That was the system, not me." "You built the system." Noah shrugged. "It was common sense." "Common sense isn't common in corporate environments." The elevator arrived. They stepped inside. "Can I ask you something?" Noah said. "Of course." "Why do you care?" "About the operations department, I mean. You're the CEO. You could delegate this to someone else." Aurora was quiet for a moment. "Because I built this company from nothing. Every department, every system, every decision, it all matters. When something's broken, I feel it, and operations has been broken for a long time. And you think I can fix it?" "I think you're already fixing it." The elevator reached the lobby. They stepped out into the empty space. "Can I ask you something now?" Aurora said. "Sure." "How's Emma?" Noah was surprised she remembered. "She's good. Really good, actually. The childcare program here is incredible. She's in a real after-school thing now, with activities and other kids. She loves it." "I'm glad. It's made a huge difference for both of us." They reached the parking garage entrance. Aurora's car, a sleek black sedan, was parked near the door. Noah's Civic was somewhere in the shadows. "Have a good night, Noah." "You too." He watched her drive away, then found his own car. On the drive home, he thought about how strange his life had become. A month ago, he'd been drowning in bills and desperation. Now he was managing a team at a billion-dollar company, talking casually with the CEO like it was normal. It didn't feel real, but he'd stopped waiting for it to feel real and started just living it. The 6th week, everything fell apart. A major client, one of Vanguard's biggest, threatened to pull their contract because of repeated delivery failures that traced back to operations. Noah found out in a meeting he wasn't even supposed to be in. He'd walked past a conference room and heard raised voices. Through the glass, he saw Aurora and 3 executives, all looking at a presentation. He kept walking, but 5 minutes later, Aurora's assistant found him. "Ms. Vale needs to see you, now." Noah's stomach dropped. "What's this about?" "Just go." He went. The conference room was tense. Aurora stood at the head of the table, arms crossed. The 3 executives looked angry. "Noah," Aurora said, "we have a problem." She explained. The client was furious. Deliveries had been late, incomplete, or wrong for the past 3 months. They were threatening to end a contract worth $8 million annually. "This is operations," one of the executives said, glaring at Noah. "This is your department." "I've only been here 6 weeks," Noah said. "And in 6 weeks you haven't fixed this? I didn't know this was happening. That's the problem. You should know." Noah looked at Aurora. Her expression was unreadable. "I need to see the delivery records," Noah said. "All of them, going back 6 months." "Why 6 months?" the executive asked. "You've only been here because these problems didn't start with me, and I need to know how deep they go." Aurora nodded. "Get him the records." The meeting ended. Noah went back to his office and spent the next 4 hours combing through data. What he found made him furious. The delivery failures weren't random. They were systematic. Someone had been cutting corners, rushing orders, skipping quality checks, and it all traced back to one person. Derek. Noah sat back in his chair staring at the evidence. He could handle this quietly. Talk to Derek. Give him a chance to fix it. Or he could do what needed to be done. He picked up his phone and called Aurora. I found the problem, he said. 20 minutes later, Derek was fired. He didn't go quietly. He yelled. He accused. He threatened legal action. Security escorted him out. Noah stood in his office, watching through the window as Derek was walked to the parking garage. Aurora appeared in his doorway. "You okay?" she asked. "No." That was the right call. Doesn't make it easier. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be right. Noah turned to face her. He's going to tell everyone I got him fired because we didn't get along. Let him. The people who matter will see the truth. And the client? I'm meeting with them tomorrow. With you. Noah blinked. Me? You're the one who found the problem. You're the one who fixed it. They need to hear it from you. I'm not good at that kind of thing. You're better than you think. The client meeting was terrifying. 3 representatives from Meridian Tech sat across the table, 2 men and a woman, all looking skeptical and annoyed. Aurora led the presentation, but she brought Noah in halfway through. Mr. Carter has been conducting a full audit of our operations, she said. Noah, can you walk them through what you found? Noah pulled up his presentation. His hands were shaking slightly, but his voice stayed steady. He explained the problems, the shortcuts, the failures in the system. He didn't make excuses. He just laid out the facts. Then he showed them the solutions. New quality control measures, automated tracking, redundancy systems, a complete overhaul of the delivery process. This won't happen again, Noah said. I can't promise perfection, but I can promise accountability, and I can promise that if something goes wrong, we'll catch it before it reaches you. The Meridian representatives looked at each other. What about the person responsible? One of them asked. No longer with the company, Aurora said. As of when? Yesterday. And you're confident these new systems will work? Noah met the man's eyes. I'm staking my job on it. The room went quiet. Finally, the woman spoke. We'll give you 3 months. If the deliveries are on time and accurate, we'll renew. If not, we're done. Understood, Aurora said. They shook hands. The Meridian representatives left. Aurora and Noah sat alone in the conference room. You didn't have to say that, Aurora said, about staking your job. It's true, though. Still, that was a risk. Everything about this job is a risk for me. Aurora studied him. You're different than most people I work with. Yeah, I can't afford a suit like theirs. That's not what I mean. Then what do you mean? You're not afraid to own your mistakes. You're not afraid to do the hard thing. And you're not trying to impress anyone. You're just trying to do the job. Noah shrugged. I don't have the luxury of doing anything else. Maybe. Or maybe that's just who you are. They sat there for a moment, something unspoken hanging between them. Thank you, Aurora said finally, for finding the problem, for fixing it, for handling it the way you did. You're welcome. She stood up. Noah did too. Noah? Yeah? Don't doubt yourself so much. You're better at this than you think. She left, and Noah stood alone in the empty conference room, wondering if she was right. 3 months later, Meridian Tech renewed their contract. Noah's team threw a small celebration in the break room. Nothing fancy, just coffee and donuts, but it mattered. Sarah raised her cup. To Noah, for not letting us fail. To not failing, someone else said. They all drank to that. Noah felt something he hadn't felt in years. Pride, belonging, the sense that he was exactly where he was supposed to be. That night, he picked Emma up from the after-school program. She ran to him, backpack bouncing. Daddy, guess what? What? I made a new friend. Her name is Zoe, and she likes rabbits too. That's great, baby. They walked to the car, Emma chattering about Zoe and rabbits and something that happened at lunch. Noah unlocked the car, and Emma climbed into her booster seat. Daddy? Yeah? Are you happy? Noah looked at his daughter in the rearview mirror. Yeah, kiddo, I think I am. Good. You smile more now. Do I? Yeah, I like it when you smile. Noah started the car, his throat tight. For the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel like something to survive. It felt like something to look forward to. And that changed everything. The call came at 6:47 a.m., on a Tuesday. Noah was making breakfast, scrambled eggs that Emma would probably only half eat, when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him answer. "Mr. Carter?" A woman's voice, professional and tense. "Yeah, this is Noah. This is Linda from Bright Horizons After School. I'm so sorry to call this early, but we have a situation." Noah's stomach clenched. "What happened? Is Emma okay?" "Emma's fine, but we've had a staff emergency. 2 of our teachers called in sick and we're not going to have adequate coverage today. We have to close the program temporarily." "For how long?" "Just today, we hope. But you'll need to make alternate arrangements." Noah closed his eyes. "When do I need to pick her up?" "We can keep the children until 9, but after that, I'll figure it out. Thank you for calling." He hung up and stood there, eggs burning in the pan behind him. Emma wandered into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes. "What's wrong?" "Nothing, baby. Just a change of plans." But it wasn't nothing. It was a problem, a big one. Noah had back-to-back meetings today. A presentation at 10 that he'd spent 3 days preparing, a budget review at 2 that couldn't be rescheduled. He couldn't just not show up. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through contacts. His neighbor Mrs. Chen sometimes watched Emma in emergencies, but she'd mentioned something about a doctor's appointment this week. He called anyway. Voicemail. He tried 2 other numbers. One didn't answer. The other said they were out of town. Noah looked at the clock. 7:03 a.m. He had to leave for work in 45 minutes. Emma appeared at his elbow. "Daddy, the eggs are smoking." "Damn it!" He pulled the pan off the heat, scraping the blackened eggs into the trash. "Bad word," Emma said. "Yeah, sorry." She climbed onto a chair. "Are you okay?" Noah took a breath, forced himself to think. He could call in sick, take the day off. But he'd never called in sick before, and doing it on a day he had major presentations would look terrible. People were already skeptical of him. This would just confirm their doubts. But what choice did he have? "Change of plans," Noah said, trying to sound casual. "How would you feel about coming to work with me today?" Emma's eyes widened. "Really? Really? Just for today? It'll be boring, but you'll have to be very quiet and very good. Can you do that?" "I can be quiet." "I know you can, baby." He wasn't sure this was allowed, wasn't sure Aurora would be okay with it, but he was out of options. They got ready in a rush. Noah packed Emma's backpack with books, coloring supplies, her tablet with headphones. Anything to keep her occupied. The drive to Vanguard felt longer than usual. Emma asked questions the whole way, what his office looked like, if there was a cafeteria, if she could meet his boss. "We'll see," Noah said, which meant probably not. They parked in the garage. Emma held his hand as they walked to the elevator, her backpack nearly as big as she was. In the lobby, a few people glanced their way. Noah felt their eyes, their judgment. He kept walking. The 32nd floor was quiet, early enough that most people weren't in yet. Noah led Emma to his office, closed the door. "Okay," he said, setting up a chair for her in the corner. "This is home base. You stay here, you stay quiet, and if you need something, you whisper. Got it?" Emma nodded solemnly. "Got it." "I'm serious, Em. This is really important." "I know, Daddy." He set her up with her coloring books, put her headphones on, started a movie on the tablet. She settled in, already absorbed. Noah sat at his desk and tried to focus on his presentation, but his mind kept drifting to Emma in the corner, to what would happen if someone complained, if Aurora found out. At 8:30, Sarah knocked on his door. Noah stood quickly, positioning himself to block the view of Emma. "Morning," Sarah said, not coming in. "Ready for the 10 o'clock?" "Yeah, all set." "Great. See you in the conference room." She left. Noah exhaled. This might actually work. The presentation went well. Noah walked the team through the new efficiency protocols, showed them the cost savings, answered questions. He kept checking his phone under the table, waiting for a message that Emma had caused some disaster. Nothing came. When the meeting ended, he practically ran back to his office. Emma was exactly where he'd left her, coloring a picture of a rabbit. "How are you doing?" Noah asked. "Good. This is boring, though." "I know. I'm sorry. Just a few more hours. Can I see the rest of the building?" "Not right now, baby." She pouted but went back to coloring. Noah checked his email. 17 new messages. He started working through them, half his attention on the screen, half on Emma. At noon, he took her to the cafeteria. It was crowded, the lunch rush, and Noah hoped they could blend in, just two people getting food. They got sandwiches and found a table in the corner. Emma swung her legs, looking around at everything with wide eyes.
"Everyone here is so fancy," she whispered. "Yeah, they are." "Are you fancy now, too?" Noah almost laughed. "No, kiddo, I'm just me." A few people glanced their way, but no one approached. Noah ate quickly, wanting to get back to the office before anyone asked questions. They were almost done when he heard a voice behind him. "Noah?" He turned. Aurora stood there, holding a coffee cup, looking surprised. Noah's heart stopped. "Miss Vale," he said, standing up too fast. Aurora's gaze shifted to Emma, then back to Noah. Her expression was unreadable. "This is my daughter, Emma," Noah said quickly. "There was a childcare emergency this morning, and I didn't have anyone to— I know I should have called ahead, but I didn't think—" "It's fine," Aurora said. Noah stopped mid-sentence. "What?" "It's fine. These things happen." Aurora looked at Emma. "Hi, Emma. I'm Aurora." Emma stared up at her, a little intimidated. "Hi. How old are you?" 6.5. "Well, 6.5 is a good age. Are you having a good day at work with your dad?" Emma nodded. "It's boring, though." Aurora smiled, genuinely smiled. "Yeah, work is boring sometimes." She pulled out a chair and sat down. Noah stood there, frozen, not sure what was happening. "Do you like to read?" Aurora asked Emma. "I love reading." "What's your favorite book?" "Charlotte's Web. We read it together." Emma pointed at Noah. "That's a great book, kind of sad at the end, though." "I cried," Emma admitted. "Me too, when I read it." They talked for a few more minutes. Easy conversation, like they'd known each other for years. Noah just watched, completely thrown. Finally, Aurora stood. "I have a meeting, but it was really nice to meet you, Emma." "You too." Aurora looked at Noah. "My office, when you have a minute." She left. Noah's stomach twisted. "Is she your boss?" Emma asked. "Yeah." "She's nice." "She is, but I think I'm in trouble." 20 minutes later, Noah stood outside Aurora's office, Emma's hand in his. He'd thought about leaving her in his office, but that felt worse somehow. He knocked. "Come in." Aurora's office was huge, floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, a desk that probably cost more than Noah's car. She was standing by the window, looking out at the city. "Close the door," she said. Noah did. Emma stayed close to his side. "I'm sorry," Noah started. "I should have called this morning. I should have asked permission. I just didn't know what else to—" "Noah." Aurora turned to face him. "Stop apologizing. But I brought my daughter to work without—" "You brought your daughter to work because you had an emergency and no other options. That's not something to apologize for." Noah blinked. "You're not mad?" "Why would I be mad?" "Because this is unprofessional. Because I should have figured something else out. Because you're a single parent doing your best." Aurora walked over to her desk, leaned against it. "Noah, do you know why I created the Child Care Assistance Program? To help employees with kids? Specifically, but also because I understand what it's like when systems fail. When the thing you're counting on falls through and you're left scrambling. I don't want my employees choosing between their jobs and their children." Noah didn't know what to say. Aurora looked at Emma. "You know what? I have something that might make today less boring. Do you want to see it?" Emma glanced up at Noah. He nodded. Aurora walked to a cabinet, pulled out a large sketchbook and a set of expensive-looking colored pencils. "I used to draw when I was younger. I don't have time anymore, but these are just sitting here. You want them?" Emma's eyes went huge. "Really?" "Really. Consider it a gift for being so patient today." "Thank you." Emma took the sketchbook carefully, like it was made of glass. "You're welcome." Aurora looked at Noah. "Your 2 o'clock got pushed to 3. That gives you an extra hour. Why don't you show Emma the roof garden? It's quiet up there." "You have a roof garden?" 43rd floor, elevator all the way up. Noah felt something crack in his chest. Not breaking, opening. "Thank you." he said quietly. Don't thank me. Just keep doing your job. Aurora smiled. Both of them.
Noah and Emma took the elevator to the 43rd floor. The doors opened onto a space Noah didn't know existed, a rooftop garden with plants and benches and a view of the entire city. Emma gasped, "Daddy, look!" "I see it, baby." They walked around, Emma pointing at everything. They found a bench in the sun and sat down. Emma opened her new sketchbook and started drawing. Noah watched her, his throat tight. He'd been terrified all morning, terrified of being judged, of being seen as less than, of confirming every doubt people had about him. But Aurora hadn't judged him. She'd understood, more than understood. She'd helped. "Daddy?" Emma said, not looking up from her drawing. "Yeah? I like your boss." "Me too, kiddo." "Is she why you're happier now?" Noah thought about that. "She's part of it, but you're the biggest part." Emma smiled and went back to drawing. They stayed up there for 40 minutes, the city spread out below them, the sun warm on their faces. For the first time since this whole impossible journey started, Noah let himself believe that maybe, just maybe, he actually belonged here. The rest of the day passed without incident. Emma stayed in Noah's office during his 3 o'clock meeting, quiet as promised. At 5, Noah packed up and they headed home. In the car, Emma was unusually quiet. "You okay?" Noah asked. "Yeah, just thinking." "About what?" "About how different everything is now." Noah glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "Different how?" "We have more. We do more things. You're not so tired all the time." She paused. "But you're still the same daddy." "Is that a good thing?" "Yeah. I wouldn't want you to change." Noah's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "I love you, Em. I love you too." That night, after Emma was asleep, Noah sat on the couch with a beer he couldn't really afford but needed anyway. He thought about the morning's panic, the fear of being judged, of losing everything he'd fought so hard to build, but also about Aurora's response, her kindness, the way she'd treated Emma like she mattered. The gap between them felt smaller now. Not gone. It would never be gone. Not really, but smaller. Noah pulled out his phone, hesitated, then typed a message. "Thank you for today. For understanding. For the sketchbook. It meant more than you know." He hit send before he could overthink it. 3 minutes later, his phone buzzed. "You're a good father, Noah. Don't ever doubt that." He stared at the message for a long time. Then he set the phone down, finished his beer, and let himself feel something he hadn't felt in years. Safe. The next morning, Noah arrived at work to find a note on his desk. "Meeting, my office, 9 a.m. AV. His stomach dropped. Maybe yesterday had been a test. Maybe she'd changed her mind overnight. Maybe... He stopped himself. Spiraling wouldn't help. At 9 exactly, he knocked on Aurora's door. "Come in." She was at her desk, looking at her computer. She didn't look angry. "Sit," she said. Noah sat. Aurora closed her laptop, gave him her full attention. "I've been thinking about yesterday. If this is about... It's not a reprimand, Noah. Let me finish." He closed his mouth. "Watching you with Emma made me realize something. You're carrying a lot, more than most people in this building, and you're doing it without complaint, without asking for special treatment, without using it as an excuse." She leaned forward. "But you shouldn't have to hide it either." "I don't understand." "I'm creating a formal flex time policy for all employees with children. If you need to work from home occasionally, or adjust your hours or bring your kid in during emergencies, that's allowed. Officially." Noah stared at her. "Because of yesterday?" "Because it's the right thing to do. And because watching you nearly break yourself trying to be perfect made me realize how many other people are probably doing the same thing." "I wasn't trying to be perfect. I was just trying not to get fired." "Exactly my point." Noah didn't know what to say. This woman kept doing things that didn't make sense, kept helping him in ways he didn't deserve. "Why?" he asked finally. "Why what? Why do you keep..." He gestured vaguely. "All of this. The job, the understanding, the policy changes. Why?" Aurora was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer.
Because someone has to. Because I have the power to make things better and it would be a waste not to use it. And because, she paused, because you reminded me that decent people still exist and they deserve to be treated decently. I'm not special. You're more special than you think. The words hung between them, weighted with something Noah couldn't quite name. The policy goes into effect next week, Aurora said, shifting back to business. HR is drafting the official language, but I wanted you to know first. Thank you. Stop thanking me. You earned this, all of it. Noah stood to leave, then stopped at the door. Can I ask you something? Of course. That night, when you showed up at my door, what happened? I mean, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but I've wondered. Aurora's expression shifted. Something vulnerable crossed her face. I'd just come from a fundraiser, she said. Rich people pretending to care about causes they don't understand. I was supposed to give a speech, smile for photos, play the part. She looked down at her hands. But I couldn't do it. I felt like I was suffocating, so I left, got in my car, started driving. And ended up at my building? I ended up at a bar first, had too much to drink, then called a car service, but I was so out of it I gave them the wrong address. Somehow ended up at your door instead. She met his eyes. Lowest point I'd had in years, and you were kind to me anyway. Anyone would have— No, Noah, they wouldn't have. Most people would have slammed the door, or worse, taken advantage. You did neither. You just helped. Noah didn't know how to respond to that. That's why I hired you, Aurora continued, not out of guilt or obligation, but because that night showed me exactly who you are, and I needed someone like that in my company. Someone desperate and broke? She smiled. Someone honest. Noah left her office feeling like the ground had shifted beneath him. Every conversation with Aurora seemed to peel back another layer, revealing something deeper. It should have made things clearer. Instead, it just made everything more complicated. The flex time policy launched 2 weeks later. Noah watched as other employees, parents he'd never known were struggling, started using it, started breathing easier. Sarah cornered him in the break room. This policy, this was because of you, wasn't it? It was because of Aurora. But you're the reason she created it. Noah shrugged. I just did what I had to do. Well, it matters. My kid has a doctor's appointment next week that I've been dreading scheduling. Now I can just work from home that day. Her voice caught. It's a big deal. I'm glad it helps. She left, and Noah stood alone with his coffee, thinking about ripple effects, about how one small action could spread in ways you never intended. That afternoon, he got an email from Aurora. Dinner meeting tonight, 7 p.m., Il Corso, client presentation, need you there. Noah's first thought was that he couldn't. Emma had school the next day, bedtime at 8, a routine they couldn't break. Then he remembered, flex time. He could ask Mrs. Chen to watch Emma for a few hours. He could adjust. He replied, I'll be there. Il Corso was the kind of restaurant Noah had only seen in movies. White tablecloths, soft lighting, a wine list that probably cost more than his monthly rent. He showed up in his best suit, which still looked cheap next to everyone else, and found Aurora already seated with 2 clients. She introduced him. This is Noah Carter, our director of operations. Noah, this is Marcus and Jennifer from Apex Solutions. Noah shook their hands, sat down, tried not to feel out of place. The dinner was intense. Marcus and Jennifer asked hard questions about Vanguard's capacity, efficiency, reliability. Aurora handled most of it, but she brought Noah in for the operational details. He answered honestly, showed them data, explained the changes they'd made, the improvements they were still implementing. You're new to the company, Marcus said. What, 6 months? 7. And you've already overhauled the entire operations department? With a good team, yes. Impressive. The dinner went long. By the time they finished, it was after 9. Marcus and Jennifer left, promising to send their decision by Friday. Noah and Aurora stood outside the restaurant, the city busy around them. You did well in there, Aurora said. I just answered their questions. You made them trust us. That's more important than any data point. Noah's phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chen. Emma's asleep on my couch. No rush. He smiled. Everything okay? Aurora asked.
Yeah, just my neighbor watching Emma. She's good. Aurora was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry I kept you so late. It's fine, it's the job. Still, I know you have responsibilities. So do you. She looked at him, something shifting in her expression. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever resent it? The constant balancing act, work, and Emma, never having time for yourself? Noah thought about it. Sometimes, but not the way you'd think. I don't resent Emma. I resent that it has to be so hard, that the system's built for people who don't have kids or who have partners to share the load. But Emma herself? He shook his head. She's the reason I get up in the morning. Aurora smiled, sad and wistful. You're a better person than most. I'm just a person trying to do right by his kid. They stood there on the sidewalk, the restaurant glowing behind them, the city flowing past. I should go, Noah said finally. Pick up Emma. Of course. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for including me. He started to walk away, then stopped. Aurora? She turned. Why don't you have time for yourself? You run the company. You could make time if you wanted. Her smile faded. Because if I stop moving, I have to think, and thinking is dangerous. About what? About whether any of this matters. About whether I'm just going through motions. About whether success is the same thing as happiness. She looked away. Questions I don't have good answers to. Noah understood that more than she knew. For what it's worth, he said, I think what you're building here matters. The jobs you create, the policies you implement, the way you treat people. That's not just going through motions. Maybe. And happiness, he shrugged. I'm not sure anyone has that figured out. We're all just doing our best. Aurora looked at him for a long moment. When did you get so wise? Somewhere between the third eviction notice and the fourth job rejection. She laughed, real and unguarded. Good night, Noah. Good night. He walked to his car, the night air cool on his face. Something had shifted tonight. Some invisible line had been crossed, though Noah couldn't say exactly what it was. All he knew was that Aurora wasn't just his boss anymore. She was something else, something that didn't have a name yet, and that scared him more than he wanted to admit. The promotion came on a Thursday morning in March, 9 months after Noah had first walked through Vanguard's doors. He was in the middle of reviewing quarterly reports when Aurora's assistant called. Ms. Vale would like to see you, now, if possible. Noah's stomach did that familiar flip it always did when summoned to Aurora's office. Even after all these months, he never quite shook the feeling that he was one mistake away from losing everything. He found her standing by the window the way she often did when something was on her mind. Close the door, she said without turning. Noah did. Waited. Aurora turned to face him. She looked tired. Not physically, she always looked put together, but there was something worn in her eyes. Sit, she said. He sat. She didn't. She stayed standing, arms crossed, studying him in that way she had that made him feel like she could see straight through to his bones. I'm restructuring the executive team, Aurora said finally. Noah's heart sank. Here it comes. The real reason she hired him. Temporary fix until she found someone better. The current director of operations is retiring. I need someone to step into that role. Someone who understands the company, who's proven themselves, who can handle the pressure. Noah nodded, keeping his face neutral even as disappointment settled in his chest. I want it to be you, Aurora said. Noah blinked. What? Director of operations, full executive position. It's yours if you want it. He stared at her, certain he'd misheard. You're serious? I don't joke about promotions, Noah. You know that. But I've only been here 9 months. And in those 9 months, you've cut operational costs by 18%, improved delivery accuracy by 32%, and implemented systems that are now being adopted by other departments. The Meridian contract renewal was a direct result of your work. The flex time policy has improved employee retention by 14%. She paused. You've earned this. Noah couldn't process it. Director of operations, executive level. That was the kind of position people spent decades working toward. What's the salary? He asked, because he didn't know what else to say. Aurora wrote a number on a piece of paper, slid it across the desk. Noah looked at it, His vision actually blurred. That number was more than he'd made in 3 years at his old job, more than he'd thought he'd ever make in his life. He couldn't finish the sentence. Market rate for the position, plus performance bonuses, stock options, full benefits package. Aurora sat down across from him. I know it's a lot to process. You don't have to answer right now. Yes, Noah said. You should take time to think about it. The hours will be longer, the pressure higher. You'll be managing not just your team, but coordinating with all department heads. It's a significant increase in responsibility. I said yes. Aurora smiled. You're sure? I'm sure. They sat there for a moment, something passing between them that Noah couldn't quite name. There's one condition, Aurora said. Noah's guard went up. What is it? You have to stop doubting yourself. I'm not promoting you out of charity or because I feel sorry for you. I'm promoting you because you're the best person for the job. So stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. Stop expecting to fail. Just do the work. Noah felt something tight in his chest loosen. I'll try. Good. Aurora stood, extended her hand. Welcome to the executive team, Director Carter. Noah shook her hand, her grip firm and steady. When does this start? Officially, 2 weeks, but you'll start transitioning immediately. Mark will help you get up to speed before he leaves. Noah nodded, his mind already spinning with everything this meant. A real salary, security, the ability to give Emma things he'd only dreamed of. Noah? He looked up. You deserve this, Aurora said quietly. I need you to believe that. I'm working on it. Work faster. He left her office in a daze, walked back to his own office, which would apparently be getting upgraded soon, and closed the door. Then he sat down and let himself feel it, all of it. The relief, the disbelief, the overwhelming gratitude. He pulled out his phone, called Emma's school. Hi, this is Noah Carter. I'm going to pick up Emma early today, around 2 if that's okay. He hung up and started counting down the hours. When Noah picked Emma up from school, she came running out with her backpack bouncing, chattering about something that happened at recess. Daddy, you're early. I know, I have news. Good news? Really good news. But I want to tell you somewhere special. You want to get ice cream? Emma's eyes went wide. On a school day? On a school day. They went to the ice cream place 3 blocks from their apartment, the one they usually only visited on special occasions because even a small cone cost more than Noah liked to spend. Emma got chocolate with sprinkles. Noah got vanilla. They sat outside at a small table, the March sun weak but warm enough. So what's the news? Emma asked, chocolate already on her face. I got promoted at work. I'm a director now. What's a director? It means I have a bigger job, more responsibility, and... He paused, watching her. It means more money. A lot more money. Emma's brow furrowed. How much more? Enough that we don't have to worry so much anymore. Enough that you can do more activities if you want. Enough that we can move to a better apartment. I like our apartment. You like having your own room. I have my own room. A room that's actually yours, not Daddy's sleeping on the couch. Emma was quiet for a moment, licking her ice cream. Does this mean you'll work more? The question hit him harder than it should have. Maybe sometimes, Noah said honestly, but I'll try not to. And when I do, you'll have better care, better programs, and we'll make the time we have together count. We already make it count. I know, baby, but now it'll be easier, less stressful. Emma nodded slowly. Okay, but Daddy? Yeah? You're not allowed to get too fancy. Noah laughed. The first real laugh he'd had all day. Too fancy how? Like those people in your building, with the fancy suits and the fancy cars. I promise I won't get too fancy. Good, because I like you how you are. Noah reached across the table, wiped chocolate from her chin. I like you how you are too. They finished their ice cream in comfortable silence. Noah watched his daughter, smart, funny, resilient beyond her years, and felt the full weight of what had just happened. He'd done it. Against every odd, every obstacle, every voice telling him he wasn't good enough, he'd actually done it. The news spread through Vanguard quickly. By the next morning, Noah's email was full of congratulations from colleagues, some genuine, some perfunctory. Sarah stopped by his office.
Director Carter has a nice ring to it. Don't, it's still weird. And get used to it. You earned it. She paused. Also, there's a rumor going around. Noah's guard went up. What rumor? That you and Ms. Vale are... She made a vague gesture. Are what? You know, that the promotion is because you're... involved. Noah felt his face flush with anger. That's bullshit. I know it is, but people talk, especially when someone rises this fast. I rose this fast because I'm good at my job. I know. I'm just warning you. The executive level is political. People will look for reasons to discredit you. After she left, Noah sat at his desk, fury simmering in his chest. Of course people would assume that. Of course they'd reduce his work, his effort, his results to some tawdry office affair. He pulled out his phone, started to text Aurora, then stopped. What would he even say? Did she know about the rumors? Did she care? Before he could decide, his phone rang. Aurora. My office, now. She sounded pissed. Noah walked down the hall, dread building with each step. Aurora's door was open. He walked in. She was pacing, which was unusual. Aurora didn't pace. Close the door. He did. Have you heard the rumors? She asked without preamble. Sarah just told me. And? And they're wrong, obviously. Aurora stopped pacing, looked at him. I need you to understand something. This will happen. People will talk. They'll assume, they'll question your qualifications, your motives, my judgment. It comes with the territory. That doesn't make it right. No. But it's reality. She crossed her arms. I'm not going to defend your promotion to anyone. I don't need to. Your work speaks for itself, but I also won't let gossip undermine what you've built here. What do you want me to do? Nothing. Keep your head down. Do your job. Prove them wrong through results, not arguments. She paused. And for the record, anyone who thinks I'd make executive decisions based on personal relationships has never actually met me. Noah almost smiled. You're not known for your sentimentality. Exactly. They stood there for a moment, the tension in the room slowly dissipating. It bothers you, Aurora said. Not a question. Of course it bothers me. I've worked my ass off for 9 months. I've earned this position, and people think I slept my way into it. They don't actually think that, don't they? Aurora sighed. Okay, some of them might, but those people don't matter. The people who've worked with you know the truth. Focus on them. Easy for you to say. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You think I don't? Aurora's voice sharpened. Noah, I've been proving myself since the day I started this company. Every decision I make is questioned. Every success is attributed to luck or privilege. Every failure is evidence that I don't belong. I'm a woman running a tech company in a field dominated by men who think they're smarter than me. I prove myself every single day. Noah hadn't thought about it like that. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just understand that we're not that different. We both have to work twice as hard for half the credit. The only difference is I've had longer to get used to it. She walked to her desk, pulled out a folder. Your transition schedule. Mark wants to meet with you this afternoon. There's also a board meeting next week where you'll be introduced formally. Board meeting? You're an executive now. You'll attend all board meetings. Great. More people to judge me? They'll judge you regardless. Might as well give them something to judge. Noah took the folder. Thanks for the pep talk. Any time. He started to leave, then turned back. Aurora. Yeah? Are you worried about the rumors affecting the company? She considered the question. I'm worried about you being distracted by them, but the company will be fine. We've weathered worse. And us? Our working relationship? What about it? Will the rumors change things? Make it harder to work together? Aurora met his eyes. Only if we let them. I trust you, Noah. That hasn't changed. I trust you too. Something passed between them in that moment, acknowledgement of something neither of them wanted to name. Go, Aurora said. You have work to do. Noah left, the folder tucked under his arm, his mind churning. The transition to director was brutal. Mark, the retiring director, walked Noah through systems, relationships, political dynamics Noah had never considered. There were unspoken alliances, old grudges, power struggles that had nothing to do with actual work.
Welcome to the executive level, Mark said dryly, where half your job is actual work and half is navigating egos. Sounds fun. It's not. But the money's good. Mark wasn't wrong. Noah's first paycheck in the new position hit his account on a Friday morning. He checked his balance on his phone and had to check it 3 more times to believe it was real. That evening, he took Emma apartment hunting. They looked at 3 places. The first was too expensive. The second was in a bad neighborhood. The third was perfect. 2 bedrooms, updated kitchen, in a building with actual security and a playground out back. You'd have your own room, Noah told Emma as they walked through, with space for all your stuff, and there's a park across the street. Emma ran from room to room, her excitement palpable. Can we really afford this? We can really afford this? When can we move? If we sign today? Next month? Emma hugged him so hard she nearly knocked him over. This is the best day ever. Noah signed the lease that afternoon. Put down first and last month's rent without having to juggle bills or skip payments. Just wrote the check. It felt surreal. That night, back in their current apartment, Emma fell asleep almost immediately. Noah sat on the couch, his bed, and let himself feel the full weight of how far they'd come. A year ago, he'd been drowning, barely keeping them afloat. One emergency away from homelessness. Now he was a director at a billion-dollar company, about to move into an apartment he'd only dreamed of. Giving Emma opportunities he'd thought were impossible, all because he'd opened his door at 3:14 a.m. and helped a stranger. His phone buzzed, a text from Aurora. Heard you found an apartment. Congratulations. Noah stared at the message. How did she know already? He typed back, News travels fast. I have my sources. Is it a good place? Really good. Emma's excited. You should be excited too. I am. It's just a lot to process. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. You've earned every bit of this, Noah. Stop questioning it. He wanted to believe her, wanted to trust that this was real, that it would last, that he deserved it. But doubt was a hard habit to break. I'm trying, he texted back. Try harder. He smiled despite himself. The board meeting the following week was everything Noah feared it would be. 12 people, mostly men, mostly older, all wealthy, sat around a conference table that probably cost more than his new apartment. They watched him with expressions ranging from curiosity to barely concealed skepticism. Aurora introduced him formally. Noah Carter, our new director of operations. Noah has been with Vanguard for 9 months and has already demonstrated exceptional leadership and results. His operational improvements have directly contributed to our increased efficiency and client retention. A man at the far end, silver hair, expensive watch, spoke up. 9 months is quite fast for an executive promotion. What was Mr. Carter's previous experience? Noah opened his mouth to answer, but Aurora cut in. Noah's previous experience is outlined in the materials I sent last week. His qualifications speak for themselves, as do his results since joining the company. Still, another board member said, it's unusual. We typically promote from within the senior ranks after years of service. We did promote from within, Aurora said coolly. Noah was within the company when he was promoted. You know what I mean. The room went quiet. Noah could feel the tension, the unspoken question hanging in the air. He stood up. Aurora looked at him, surprised. If I may, Noah said. The room turned to him. You're right, 9 months is fast. I don't have decades of corporate experience. I don't have an MBA from a prestigious school. What I have is a track record of solving problems that needed solving. When I started, operations was losing money and clients. Now it's not. The Meridian contract alone proves return on investment. He met the silver-haired man's eyes. You can question my experience. You can question my qualifications, but you can't question my results. They're documented, measurable, and profitable. Silence. Then the silver-haired man smiled. Fair enough, Mr. Carter. Welcome to the team. The rest of the meeting proceeded without incident. When it ended, Aurora pulled Noah aside in the hallway. That was either very brave or very stupid, she said. Which do you think it was? Both. Did I screw up? No, you set the tone. They respect directness, even if they don't like it. Noah exhaled. I thought I was about to get fired. You're not getting fired, though maybe warn me next time you decide to give a speech. There's going to be a next time? With that board? Definitely. They walked toward the elevator together. People passed them in the hallway, and Noah noticed the glances, the whispers quickly cut off. The rumors hadn't died down. If anything, they'd gotten worse. Ignore them, Aurora said quietly. I'm trying. Try harder. He laughed despite the situation. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. The elevator arrived. They stepped inside alone. Aurora? Noah said as the doors closed. Yeah? Thank you for defending me in there. I wasn't defending you. I was stating facts. Still, it mattered. She looked at him, something soft crossing her face. You matter, Noah. To this company. To... She stopped herself. To the work we're doing here. The elevator descended in silence. Noah wanted to ask what she'd been about to say, wanted to push past the professional distance they both maintained so carefully. But he didn't, because pushing would mean acknowledging something neither of them was ready to acknowledge. The doors opened. They stepped out into the lobby. Have a good weekend, Aurora said. You too. She walked toward the parking garage. Noah stood there watching her go, that familiar ache in his chest. He was falling for his boss, and he had no idea what to do about it. Moving day came on a Saturday in April. Noah didn't have much to move. His furniture was mostly secondhand, beaten up, not worth bringing to the new place. He'd ordered a new bed for Emma, a new couch for himself. Fresh start. Mrs. Chen helped with Emma while Noah coordinated the movers. Sarah showed up with coffee and donuts, claiming she had nothing better to do. This place is great, she said, walking through the empty apartment. Emma must be thrilled, as she hasn't stopped talking about it. And you? How are you feeling? Noah looked around at the space, bright, clean, safe. Like I can finally breathe. You've come a long way. We've come a long way. You helped me a lot those first few months. Sarah waved him off. You did the work. I just didn't actively sabotage you. High praise, she laughed. Seriously, though, I'm proud of you. Not everyone could have done what you did. The movers arrived. Boxes, furniture, the accumulation of their small life got carried up to the second floor. By afternoon, most of it was done. Emma ran through the apartment, claiming spaces. This is my room. This is where my bed goes. Can I paint the walls purple? We'll talk about it, Noah said, which made Emma grin because she knew that meant yes eventually. That evening, after the movers left and Sarah went home, Noah and Emma sat on the floor of their new living room eating pizza straight from the box. Do you like it here? Noah asked. I love it here. It smells like paint and new carpet. That smell will go away. I know, but right now it smells like starting over. Noah looked at his daughter, amazed as always by her wisdom. Yeah, it does. Daddy? Yeah, baby? Are you happy? I am. Are you? Yeah, but also... She hesitated. I'm scared it'll go away, that we'll have to move back. Noah's chest tightened. That's not going to happen. How do you know? Because I'm not going to let it. We've fought too hard to get here. This is ours now. No one's taking it away. Emma nodded, but he could see the worry still there. She'd learned too young that good things could disappear. Come here, Noah said. She crawled into his lap, too big for it really, but he held her anyway. We're going to be okay, he said. Better than okay. I promise. Cross your heart? Cross my heart. They sat there as the sun set through the new windows, painting everything gold. For the first time in years, Noah let himself believe his own promise. On Monday, Noah arrived at work to find a gift on his desk. A coffee mug. Expensive looking, with Director Carter printed on the side. No card, no note. But he knew who it was from. He picked up his phone, texted Aurora. Nice mug. Subtle. Her response came immediately. Subtlety is overrated. How's the new place? Good. Emma loves it. And you? Noah looked at the mug, thought about the apartment, about how far he'd come. I'm getting there, he typed. 3 dots appeared. Good. That's all I can ask. Noah set the phone down, poured coffee into his new mug, and got to work. The weight on his shoulders felt different now. Still there, it would always be there,
but lighter somehow. Like maybe, just maybe, he could actually carry it.
3 months into his role as director, Noah stood in front of the bathroom mirror at 2:47 a.m., unable to sleep. The face staring back at him looked different than it had a year ago, less exhausted, better fed. But the eyes were the same, still carrying that edge of worry, still waiting for everything to collapse. He'd thought success would cure that, thought money and security would make the fear go away. It hadn't.
Noah splashed water on his face, dried off, padded quietly back to his bedroom. His bedroom, not a couch.
An actual room with a door that closed and a bed that was his. But sleep wouldn't come. He grabbed his phone off the nightstand. No messages. The world was asleep like normal people. Then he saw it. A light on in the building across the street. Someone else awake at this ungodly hour. Noah pulled on sweatpants and a t-shirt, went to the kitchen. Made coffee even though caffeine at 3 a.m.
His was objectively a terrible idea.
His phone buzzed. He nearly dropped the coffee pot. A text from Aurora. "You're awake." Not a question. Noah stared at the message, wondering how she knew. Then he typed back, "So are you. Can't sleep." Same. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Want company? There's a 24-hour diner 2 blocks from your place. Vernon's." Noah's finger hovered over the keyboard. This was crossing a line. Meeting his boss at 3 a.m. at a diner. Nothing good came from that. He typed, "I'll be there in 10 minutes." Vernon's diner was exactly what it sounded like. Worn booths, fluorescent lighting, coffee that had been sitting too long. 3 other people occupied the space. A tired waitress, a guy who looked homeless sleeping in a corner booth, and a trucker reading a newspaper. Aurora sat in a booth by the window wearing jeans and a sweatshirt Noah had never seen her in. No makeup, hair in a messy bun. She looked younger, more human. "Hey," Noah said, sliding into the seat across from her. "Hey." The waitress appeared, poured coffee without asking. They both took it black. "You come here often?" Noah asked. "Sometimes, when I can't turn my brain off." Aurora wrapped her hands around the mug. "You?" "First time. Didn't even know it existed." "Most people don't. That's why I like it." They sat in silence for a moment, the diner humming around them. "What keeps you up?" Aurora asked finally. Noah thought about lying, thought about saying something vague and professional. But it was 3 a.m. in a place that felt outside of time, outside of normal rules. "Waiting for it to end," he said. "The job?" "All of it. The apartment, the salary, the stability. I keep waiting for someone to realize they made a mistake, that I don't actually belong here." Aurora nodded slowly. "Imposter syndrome. Is that what this is?" "Probably. Common with people who fought their way up. You don't trust it because you remember what it's like to have nothing. Do you have it, the imposter thing?" "Every single day." Noah looked at her, surprised. "You built this company from scratch. You're worth more money than I can comprehend. What could you possibly feel like an imposter about?" Aurora stared into her coffee. "Because I remember being broke too. Remember eating ramen for weeks because I couldn't afford anything else. Remember sleeping on friends' couches because I didn't have rent money. I built Vanguard, yeah. But I also got lucky. Right timing, right connections, right moment in the market. And sometimes I wonder if I deserve any of it, or if I just happened to be standing in the right place when the money fell. That's not luck, that's work. Is it? Or do I just tell myself that to feel better?" She looked up at him. "You and me, we're not that different, Noah. We both clawed our way out of situations that should have buried us. And we both keep looking over our shoulders, waiting for it to catch back up." The waitress returned. "You two eating or just drinking the coffee?" "Pancakes," Aurora said. "And bacon." "Same," Noah added. The waitress wandered off. Aurora smiled slightly. "What?" Noah asked. "Nothing. Just weird to see you outside of work. You're less guarded." "So are you. I've never seen you in a sweatshirt." "I own casual clothes. I just don't wear them often." "Why not?" "Because the CEO of a billion-dollar company doesn't get to look casual. People expect a certain image, professional, polished, in control." She paused. "Even when you're falling apart inside." Are you? Falling apart? Aurora considered the question. Not falling apart, just tired. Tired of performing, tired of being what everyone expects me to be. What do you want to be? I don't know anymore. I built this company because I wanted to prove I could, wanted to show everyone who doubted me that I was capable of something big. And I did it. But now I'm here, and I don't know what I'm actually building toward anymore. More money? More success? At what point does it mean something? Noah understood that better than she probably knew. Emma asked me yesterday if I was happy, he said, and I didn't know how to answer, because I am, in a lot of ways. But I'm also still scared, still waiting for it to fall apart. Maybe that never goes away, Aurora said. Maybe we just learn to live with it. That's a depressing thought, or a realistic one. The food arrived. They ate in comfortable silence, the diner's fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Can I ask you something? Noah said between bites. Sure. That night, when you showed up at my door, what were you really running from? Aurora set down her fork. You want the real answer or the easy one? Real. I was running from the realization that I'd built this entire life and didn't actually like any of it. The fundraiser that night, all those rich people pretending to care about causes they'd never personally experienced, and I was one of them, playing the part, smiling for cameras, writing checks to feel less guilty about having so much. She looked out the window. I left because I couldn't breathe in that room, couldn't stand being that person for one more second. And you ended up at my door. And you were kind to me, didn't ask for anything, didn't try to take advantage, just helped because you could. She met his eyes. That night reminded me that decent people still existed, that not everything was transactional. I wasn't trying to be decent, I was just doing what felt right. Exactly my point. They finished eating. The waitress brought the check. Noah reached for it, but Aurora was faster. I got it, she said. You're the billionaire. You shouldn't have to pay for my pancakes. I'm paying for my own pancakes. Yours just happen to be on the same bill. Noah smiled despite himself. Outside, the city was still dark. A few cars passed, but mostly the streets were empty. Thank you, Aurora said, for meeting me, for listening. Anytime. I mean it, Noah. You're one of the few people I can actually talk to. Everyone else either wants something from me or is afraid of me. I'm a little afraid of you. No, you're not. That's why I like you. The words hung in the air between them, weighted with something neither of them acknowledged. I should get back, Noah said finally. Emma wakes up early. Yeah, I should try to sleep too. They stood there for a moment, neither moving. Noah? Yeah? That night at your door, I never properly thanked you for it. You gave me a job. I think that counts. The job wasn't a thank you. The job was because you earned it. She paused. But I am grateful. For your kindness. For reminding me that the world isn't as cold as I'd started to believe. The world is pretty cold. We just have to be warmer than it. Aurora smiled, genuine and unguarded. See? That's why I like you. She walked to her car. Noah watched her drive away, then headed back to his apartment. When he climbed into bed, sleep came easier. The following weeks at Vanguard were intense. A major acquisition was in the works, a smaller tech company that would expand their market share significantly. Noah found himself in meetings 12 hours a day, negotiating terms, reviewing contracts, coordinating integration plans. Aurora was there for all of it, the two of them often the last ones in the office. You should go home, she'd say around 8 or 9 at night. So should you, he'd reply. Neither of them would leave. One evening, working late on integration logistics, Noah's phone rang. Emma's after-school program. Mr. Carter, Emma's running a fever. You need to pick her up. Noah checked his watch, 6:30 p.m. He had a conference call at 7 that couldn't be moved. I'll be there in 20 minutes, he said. He hung up, started gathering his things. Aurora looked up from her laptop. Everything okay? Emma's sick. I have to go. What about the call? I'll dial in from the car, or reschedule. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Aurora closed her laptop. I'll handle the call. You don't have to. Noah, go get your daughter. I'll take care of the call.
He wanted to argue, wanted to prove he could handle both, but Emma needed him, and Aurora was giving him an out. "Thank you," he said. "Stop thanking me and go." Noah went. He found Emma in the nurse's office, pale and listless. Her temperature was 101.3. "Hey, baby," he said, kneeling down. "Not feeling good?" She shook her head, tears in her eyes. "It's okay. We're going home." He carried her to the car, buckled her in, drove home with one hand on the wheel and the other reaching back to hold hers. At the apartment, he got her into pajamas, gave her medicine, set her up on the couch with her favorite blanket and a movie. "You're not going back to work?" she asked, her voice small. "Nope. I'm staying right here with you." "What about your meeting?" "Someone else is handling it. You're more important." Emma curled into his side. "I love you, Daddy." "I love you too, baby." She fell asleep 20 minutes later. Noah stayed there, her head on his shoulder, and didn't move even when his arm went numb. His phone buzzed, a text from Aurora. "Call went fine. How's Emma?" "Asleep. Fever's coming down. Thanks for covering." "That's what teams do. Get some rest." Noah looked down at his daughter, her face relaxed in sleep, and felt something settle in his chest. He'd made the right choice. Work was important, but it wasn't everything. Some things still mattered more. Emma was better by morning, but Noah kept her home from school anyway. They spent the day watching movies and eating soup, and Noah didn't check his work email once. When he finally looked at his phone that evening, there was a message from Aurora. "Taking tomorrow off. Doctor's appointment. Can you handle the morning briefing?" Noah replied, "Of course. Everything okay?" "Just a checkup, nothing serious." But something in the message felt off. Aurora didn't take time off, didn't do checkups. She powered through everything like a machine. Noah didn't push it. "See you Friday then." "See you Friday." Friday came. Aurora was back in the office, professional as ever. But Noah noticed things. The way she moved a little slower. The way she rubbed her temples when she thought no one was looking. "You okay?" he asked during a break between meetings. "Fine. Just tired." Aurora. She looked at him, and for a second her guard dropped. "I'm fine, Noah. Really. If you weren't, would you tell me?" "Probably not." "That's what I thought." She smiled despite herself. "I'm fine. I promise. Just need to sleep more." "You and me both." The acquisition closed in June. It was massive, weeks of negotiations culminating in a signed contract worth $300 million. The board was ecstatic. Vanguard's stock jumped 12%. Aurora gave a speech to the entire company about growth and opportunity. That evening, she threw a party for the executive team. Fancy restaurant, expensive wine, celebration. Noah showed up in his best suit, which he'd finally upgraded, and tried not to feel out of place. The other executives were already drinking, laughing, talking about bonuses and stock options. Noah grabbed a beer and found a corner. Sarah appeared at his elbow. "You look like you want to be anywhere but here." "That obvious?" "A little." "Why aren't you celebrating? This acquisition was huge, and you did most of the operational heavy lifting." "I know, it just feels weird. Everyone here is celebrating money I can't even conceptualize." "You're one of them now, Noah, whether you like it or not." "That's what worries me." Aurora clinked her glass, calling for attention. The room quieted. "I want to thank everyone here for making this acquisition possible," she said. "This represents a significant milestone for Vanguard. But more than that, it represents what we can accomplish when we work together, when we trust each other, when we refuse to accept limitations." Her eyes found Noah's across the room. "Some of you have been with me from the beginning. Some of you are newer. But all of you matter. All of you contributed. So tonight, we celebrate not just the deal, but each other." People raised their glasses, drank, went back to talking. Noah slipped outside to the patio, needing air. Aurora followed him a few minutes later. "Hiding?" she asked. "Taking a break." "From what?" "From pretending I belong in there." Aurora leaned against the railing beside him. "You do belong in there." "Do I?" "Because most of those people grew up with money, went to fancy schools, had connections. I got here by accident." "You got here because you're good at what you do. Stop diminishing that." "I'm not diminishing it. I'm being realistic." You're being scared. Noah looked at her. Yeah, I am. Because I don't know how to be this person. I don't know how to be the guy who goes to parties like this and talks about millions of dollars, like it's normal. I'm still the guy who counts change to buy groceries. Good, Aurora said. Don't lose that. Don't become like them, so comfortable with money that you forget what it's like to struggle. That's what makes you valuable, Noah. You remember. You understand what's at stake for the people working under you because you've been there. Is that why you don't fit in with them either? Aurora was quiet for a moment. You noticed that? You're good at hiding it, but yeah, I noticed. I spent years trying to fit in with people like that, trying to prove I belonged, and I finally realized I don't want to belong. They're not my people. They never were. Who are your people then? She looked at him, something shifting in her expression. I'm still figuring that out. The moment stretched between them, charged with something unspoken. Aurora broke it first. We should go back inside. Yeah, probably. But neither of them moved. Noah? Yeah? Thank you for being honest with me, for not pretending. That's all I know how to do. I know, that's why it matters. They went back inside. The party continued around them. But something had changed. Some invisible barrier had shifted. Noah drove home that night thinking about what Aurora had said, about being valuable because he remembered what struggle felt like. Maybe that was the point. Maybe the goal wasn't to forget where he'd come from, but to carry it with him, to let it inform who he became. When he got home, Emma was asleep at Mrs. Chen's. He carried her back to their apartment, tucked her into her purple-painted room, and stood there watching her sleep. Everything he'd built, everything he'd fought for, it was for her. To give her options he'd never had, to show her that circumstances didn't define you, but also to teach her that success didn't mean abandoning who you were. 2 weeks later, Noah got a call at 7 in the morning. Aurora. She never called this early. Noah, I need a favor. Her voice sounded wrong, tight, strained. What's wrong? I'm at Mercy Hospital. I need someone to handle the board meeting at 10. Can you do it? Noah's heart stopped. Why are you at the hospital? It's nothing serious, just precautionary, but I can't leave and the board meeting can't be postponed. Aurora, what happened? I'm fine, I just need you to cover the meeting. Tell me what's wrong. Silence. Then I collapsed this morning. At home. My assistant found me and called an ambulance. They're running tests, but I'm probably just exhausted, overworked. You know how it is. Noah was already grabbing his keys. Which hospital? Noah, I need you at that meeting. Which hospital, Aurora? Mercy, but you don't need to come. I'm fine. I'll handle the meeting later. I'm coming now. Noah, he hung up. Emma was already at school. Noah called Mrs. Chen, asked her to pick Emma up later if needed, then drove to Mercy Hospital faster than he probably should have. He found Aurora in a room on the 4th floor. She was in a hospital gown, hooked up to monitors, looking smaller somehow than she ever had before. You were supposed to go to the meeting, she said when he walked in. I rescheduled it. Are you okay? I told you I'm fine, just exhausted. People who are fine don't collapse. Aurora looked away. The doctor says I'm severely sleep-deprived and malnourished. Apparently I've been running myself into the ground for months. They want to keep me overnight for observation. Noah pulled up a chair, sat down beside the bed. When's the last time you ate a real meal? Define real meal. Aurora. I don't know, a few days ago, maybe a week. I've been busy. Too busy to eat? Too busy to care. Noah shook his head. You can't do this to yourself. I'm fine. You collapsed. And now I'm in a hospital being monitored. Problem solved. That's not how this works. Aurora met his eyes. What do you want me to say, Noah? That I've been pushing too hard? That I don't know how to stop? I know all of that, but the company needs me. The acquisition needs me. People are counting on me. People need you alive more than they need you working. Do they? Because from where I'm sitting, my value is directly tied to my productivity. The moment I stop being useful, I stop mattering. That's not true. Isn't it? Noah leaned forward. You matter to me. Not because you're the CEO. Not because you gave me a job. Because you're a person I care about. And watching you destroy yourself is killing me.
Aurora's expression cracked. I don't know how to do it differently. Work is all I have. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Well, it's true. Noah reached out, took her hand. She didn't pull away. You have more than work, he said quietly. You have people who care about you, who want you to be okay. You just have to let them in. Aurora's eyes filled with tears. That's hard for me. I know. I'm not good at needing people. Neither am I, but I'm learning. They sat there, hands linked, the hospital humming around them. I'm scared, Aurora whispered. Of what? Of stopping, of slowing down, because if I do, I might realize how lonely I actually am. Noah's heart broke for her. You're not alone. I feel alone. I know, but you're not. Not anymore. A nurse came in, checked Aurora's vitals, adjusted her IV. When she left, Aurora looked at Noah. You should go. The board meeting is handled. I'm staying. Noah. I'm staying, Aurora. Stop arguing. She smiled slightly. You're stubborn. I learned from the best. He stayed until evening, sat beside her bed while she slept, answered work emails on his phone, coordinated with her assistant to handle urgent matters. When Aurora woke up, it was dark outside. You're still here, she said, surprised. I told you I was staying. What about Emma? Mrs. Chen picked her up. She's fine. Aurora looked at him, something vulnerable in her expression. Why are you doing this? Because you'd do it for me. Would I? Yeah, you would, even if you wouldn't admit it. She didn't argue. The doctor came in around 7, told Aurora she could go home in the morning if her blood work looked good, ordered her to take at least a week off work, actual rest. I can't take a week off, Aurora protested. You can and you will, the doctor said, or you'll end up back here in worse condition. After the doctor left, Aurora looked at Noah. A week off? I don't even know what that means. It means sleeping, eating real food, not checking email every 5 minutes. Sounds boring. Sounds necessary, she sighed. Will you help me? Make sure I actually do it? You want me to babysit you? I want you to hold me accountable, because left to my own devices, I'll be back in the office by Tuesday. Okay, I'll help. Thank you. Noah stood to leave. Get some rest. I'll come by tomorrow to drive you home. You don't have to. Aurora, stop fighting me on this. She smiled. Okay. He started to walk out, then turned back. For what it's worth, you're not alone. Not anymore. And the sooner you accept that, the easier things will get. He left before she could respond. The week Aurora spent recovering changed something between them. Noah checked on her daily, brought her groceries, made sure she was actually resting and not secretly working. She fought him at first. But by day 3, she stopped resisting. Started accepting help. Started admitting she needed it. They talked more in that week than they had in months. Real conversations. About their fears, their failures, the weight they both carried. I built this company because I needed to prove I was worth something, Aurora admitted one afternoon, sitting on her couch while Noah made her lunch. My family didn't believe in me, said I'd fail, so I worked twice as hard to prove them wrong. Did you? Noah asked, bringing her a sandwich. Prove them wrong? Yeah, but I also lost myself in the process. Became so focused on success that I forgot what I was actually working toward. And now? Now I'm trying to figure out who I am without the work. It's harder than I expected. Noah sat down beside her. I get that. I defined myself as Emma's dad for so long that when things got bad, I didn't know who I was without that role. Had to rebuild from scratch. How did you do it? I'm still figuring it out, but I think it starts with accepting that you're more than what you do, that your value isn't tied to productivity. Aurora leaned her head on his shoulder. When did you get so wise? Somewhere between rock bottom and here. They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, the city moved past Aurora's windows. Inside, something shifted. Noah? Aurora said quietly. Yeah? I'm glad you opened your door that night. Glad you helped me even though you didn't have to. Me too. Everything changed because of that moment. For both of us. Yeah, it did. Aurora lifted her head, looked at him,
really looked at him. I care about you, she said, more than I probably should. Noah's heart hammered. What does that mean? It means you matter to me, not as an employee, not as a colleague, as a person, as someone She trailed off, uncertain. As someone you what? Aurora took a breath. As someone I could fall in love with, if I let myself.
The words hung between them, terrifying and honest. I could too, Noah said quietly. Fall in love with you, if I let myself. Are you scared? Terrified. Me too. They sat there, the admission hanging in the air. What do we do about it? Aurora asked. I don't know. This is complicated. You're my boss. There's a power dynamic. People already talk. I know. All of that is true. But I'm tired of living my life based on what other people think. I spent years doing that. It made me miserable. Noah looked at her. What do you want, Aurora? I want to see where this goes. I want to stop pretending there's nothing between us. She paused. I want to take a chance on something real. Even if it's messy, even if people judge us. Especially then. Noah thought about Emma, about the life he'd built, about everything he could lose. But he also thought about Aurora, about how she made him feel seen, about how they understood each other in ways no one else did. Okay, he said. Okay? Let's try. Let's see what this is. Aurora smiled, genuine and full of hope. Yeah? Yeah. She kissed him, soft and tentative at first, then deeper, a year of tension and connection finally acknowledged. When they pulled apart, Noah laughed. What? Aurora asked. I just kissed my boss. I just kissed my employee. We're both terrible at boundaries. The worst. They sat there, Aurora's hand in his, and let themselves feel it. The possibility, the risk, the terrifying, exhilarating unknown. Noah went home that night and told Emma he had news. What kind of news? She asked, looking up from her homework. I'm seeing someone, dating someone, Aurora, my boss. Emma's eyes went wide. The lady from your office? The one who gave me the sketchbook? Yeah, that one. I like her. You do? She's nice, and she makes you smile different. Different how? Like you're happy. Not just pretend happy. Noah knelt down to Emma's level. Is that okay with you? Me dating her? Emma thought about it. Will she be around a lot? Maybe, if things work out. Will she try to be my mom? No, baby. She's not trying to replace anyone. She's just someone who makes me happy. And I hope she'll make you happy too. But you're my priority, always. Emma nodded slowly. Okay, but Daddy? Yeah? Go slow. I don't want to lose you if it doesn't work. Noah pulled her into a hug. You're not losing me, ever, no matter what happens. Promise? Promise. The next months were strange and wonderful. Noah and Aurora navigated their relationship carefully. They kept it quiet at work, professional during business hours. But after, they'd meet at her place or his, talk for hours, learn each other. Aurora met Emma officially as Noah's girlfriend. Emma was shy at first, but Aurora didn't push. She let Emma set the pace, brought books instead of toys, asked questions and actually listened to the answers. Slowly, Emma warmed up. One Saturday, the three of them went to the park. Emma ran ahead to the swings while Noah and Aurora walked behind. She's amazing, Aurora said, watching Emma. She is. She's my whole world. I can see that. The way you are with her. It's... Aurora paused. It makes me wish I'd had that growing up. A parent who actually cared. Your parents didn't? They cared about my achievements, not really about me. Noah took her hand. Their loss. Aurora squeezed his fingers. I don't know how to do this. The family thing, I'm not good at it. Neither was I. Emma taught me. You just have to show up and try. What if I mess it up? Then you apologize and try again. That's all any of us can do. At work they maintained boundaries, but people noticed anyway. The way Aurora's face softened when Noah entered a room, the way Noah defended her in meetings, the way they moved around each other like magnets. The rumors intensified. But this time, Noah didn't care. Let them talk. He knew the truth. 6 months after they started dating, Noah was offered a position at a competing firm. More money, more prestige, a chance to step out of Aurora's shadow. He sat in Aurora's office, the offer letter in his hands. "You should take it," she said. "What?" "The job. It's a good opportunity. Better than what you have here." "I don't want to leave Vanguard." "But you want to leave me?" "No, that's not what I'm saying." Aurora leaned back in her chair. "Noah, I won't be the reason you don't pursue opportunities. If you want this job, take it. We'll figure out the rest. And if I don't want it, then don't take it. But make the choice for you, not for me." Noah looked at the offer letter, thought about what it represented, proof that he'd made it, that other companies valued him. Then he thought about Vanguard, about the team he'd built, about the work that still needed doing, about Emma settling into her school, her friends, her routine, about Aurora, about what they were building together. He set the letter down. "I'm staying." "You're sure?" "I'm sure. This is where I belong. With you. With this team. Building something that matters." Aurora's expression softened. "Okay. But Noah?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for choosing to stay. Not just for me, but because you want to." "I do want to. More than I thought I would." That evening, Noah took Emma and Aurora to dinner. A normal restaurant. Nothing fancy. The three of them squeezed into a booth, Emma chattering about her day, Aurora asking questions, Noah watching them both with something that felt like contentment. "Daddy," Emma said between bites of pasta. "Yeah, baby." "Are you happy now? Like, for real happy?" Noah looked at his daughter, then at Aurora. Thought about the apartment they lived in, the job he loved, the relationship he'd found when he wasn't looking. "Yeah, Em, I'm happy for real. Good, you deserve it." From the mouths of children. Later that night, after Emma was asleep, Noah and Aurora sat on his couch drinking wine that actually tasted good. "She's right, you know," Aurora said. "About what?" "You deserve to be happy." "So do you." "I'm getting there, thanks to you." Noah set down his wine glass. "Can I tell you something?" "Always." "That night you showed up at my door. I almost didn't answer. I was so exhausted, so defeated. I didn't want to deal with anyone else's problems." "Why did you answer?" "Because something told me I should. Some instinct I couldn't ignore." He looked at her. "I think about that a lot. How different my life would be if I'd just gone back to sleep." "Mine too." "Do you believe in fate, that things happen for a reason?" Aurora thought about it. "I believe we make choices, and those choices ripple out in ways we can't predict. You chose to help me. That choice led to others. And now we're here. Here's pretty good. Here's better than good." They sat in comfortable silence, the weight of everything they'd been through settling around them. "Noah?" Aurora said quietly. "Yeah?" "I love you. I know that's scary to say. I know it complicates things, but it's true. I love you." Noah felt something break open in his chest. "I love you too." They didn't kiss, didn't do anything dramatic, just sat there, hands linked, letting the words settle. A year and a half after Noah first walked into Vanguard Corporation, he stood in front of the company at an all-hands meeting. Aurora had asked him to share his story, to talk about his journey. He'd resisted at first, but she'd insisted. "People need to hear it," she'd said. "Need to know that success doesn't always look the way they expect." So he stood there looking out at hundreds of faces and told them the truth. About being a single father barely surviving. About the night a stranger showed up at his door. About taking a chance on a job he didn't think he'd get. About struggling. About doubting. About fighting through anyway. "I'm not telling you this to brag," Noah said. "I'm telling you because I want you to know that where you start doesn't determine where you end up. I started at rock bottom. I was one emergency away from losing everything. And I'm not going to pretend that hard work alone got me here. I got lucky. I met the right person at the right time. But I also showed up. I did the work. I didn't quit when it got hard." He paused, looking out at the crowd. "Some of you are struggling right now. Some of you are questioning whether you belong here. Some of you are one bad day away from giving up. I see you. Because I was you. And I want you to know that it can get better. Not easy, not perfect, but better. You just have to keep showing up. The room was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then the whole room erupted in applause. Noah stepped down, his heart hammering. Aurora met him at the bottom of the stage. "That was perfect," she said. "That was terrifying." Same thing. They walked back to the office together. People stopped Noah in the hallway, thanked him for sharing, told him their own stories. He listened, really listened, because that's what people needed, someone to see them, to acknowledge their struggle. That evening, Noah picked up Emma from school. She climbed into the car, backpack first, then herself. "How was your day?" Noah asked. "Good. We learned about the water cycle. Did you know water never actually goes away? It just changes forms?" "I did know that. It's cool though. Like, the water we drink today is the same water the dinosaurs drank." "That is pretty cool." They drove home through the city, the sun setting behind them. "Daddy?" Emma said. "Yeah? Why are you smiling?" Noah glanced at her in the rearview mirror, just thinking about how much better things are now than they were a year ago. "Because of your job?" "Because of a lot of things. The job, Aurora, you, all of it." Emma was quiet for a moment. "I'm glad things are better." "Me too, baby. Me too." That night, after Emma was asleep, Noah stood on his balcony, looking out at the city. The same city that had felt so hostile a year ago now felt full of possibility. His phone buzzed. "Aurora." "Thinking about you." He smiled, typed back. "Good thoughts, I hope." "Always. Come over tomorrow, after Emma's asleep?" "I'll be there." Noah set the phone down and let himself feel it. All of it. The gratitude, the hope, the knowledge that he'd survived the worst and come out stronger. He thought about the choices he'd made, opening his door at 3:14 a.m., helping a stranger, taking a job he didn't think he deserved, trusting Aurora, letting himself be vulnerable, small choices, ordinary moments, but they'd changed everything, because that's how life worked, not in grand gestures or dramatic turning points, but in quiet decisions made when no one was watching, in kindness offered without expectation of reward, in showing up even when you were scared. Noah Carter had learned that the hard way, had lived it, had clawed his way from nothing to something worth having. And now, standing on his balcony in an apartment he owned, with a daughter sleeping safely in her purple room and a woman he loved waiting for him across the city, he finally let himself believe what Aurora had been telling him for months. He deserved this. All of it. Not because he was special, not because he was perfect, but because he'd done the work. Because he'd chosen kindness when it would have been easier to choose fear. Because he'd kept showing up even when everything told him to give up. That was enough. He was enough. And tomorrow he'd wake up and prove it all over again. Because that's what you did. You kept going. You kept choosing. You kept believing that better was possible. One small choice at a time.